I now call Mrs. Aluso, the mother of Mark and Giggles Aluso, to the stand.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you must be Nicole and Richard Watterson, Big Bill, Brenda, and Alice Glover the Great. You people are the most insane child abusers I ever had the misfortune to know. Nicole and Richard Watterson, I saw the video of you taking Gumball to Bogota, Colombia and abandoning him to the Glover family. As if that wasn't enough, Richard, you had little Bill, Bobby, and April take Nate and Darwin to their homes so that they can abuse them. You seriously think that this is funny? You should know better than to abandon your own children as if they mean nothing to you. And to you Glovers, you were not helping their situation in the slightest. When you took Gumball, Darwin, and Nate in with you, you locked them in their room and forced them to watch nothing but preschool and kids shows on VHS tapes. You treat them as if they are worse than Hitler. You all should be ashamed of yourselves for what you did to these poor children. I declare you and the other criminals guilty.
All right, Mrs. Aluso, you may return to your seat. I now call D1 and Gale Aluso, the aunt and uncle of Marco Aluso, to the stand.
Much obliged, Your Honor. So, you must be the Glovers and the Wattersons? You people are nothing but child-abusing blights of humanity. Do you realize how much damage you have done to these children? Nicole and Richard, we saw on CNN Regular's channel about how Gumball came back to you both, and what did you do? You gave him a punishment day for returning to you guys by singing a Spanish song on loud volume, making his ears bleed. And after that, you sent him back to the Glover family. You two are seriously psychotic. And as for you Glovers, you don't help the situation since you constantly ground Gumball, Darwin, and Eyes. You all are nothing but criminal Fox animation wannabes. You all should be wiped off the face of the earth.
I agree with my husband, Big Bill. We also saw this video of how you and little Bill sent Gumball and his siblings to Japan as a punishment. First their parents and you celebrated about them being sent to Japan with your dumb cronies. You all seriously disgust me. We hope you get what's coming to you.
Yeah. And because I am a demon, I will torture your souls after you all are executed. And the rest of your goons will meet the same fate as well when they die. And as for you Cuphead Devil, wait till the real devil hears about all the stupid crap that you have done. You're in really hot water this time. We're done now, Your Honor.
Thank you, D1 and Gale Aluso, you may return to your seats. I now call Flippy and Giggles, the parents of Snicker, to the stand.
Thank you, Your Honor. So you must be the Glover family that abused Gumball, Darwin, and Anae on purpose? Like every day? You people ought to be ashamed of yourselves for abusing these children, and you always treat your other children fair and never ground them. In fact, most of the time, you let your own kids ground Gumball, Darwin, and Anae. Do you even know what you are doing? These kids were abandoned by their sorry excuses for parents, and instead of helping them, you treat them worse than their own parents. Like, what is wrong with you guys?
I agree with my husband. The reason why they misbehave is because of your stupid actions. I am also really angry at your dumb cronies for helping you abuse these kids, especially Judge Alberto, since he allowed you, the Glovers, to child abuse Gumball, Darwin, and Anais. We are gonna make him pay for all the mental trauma these kids went through, and because of Judge Alberto, Bogota, Colombia is now the most dangerous place for anyone, especially kids, to live in.
I agree with my wife. Why are you people like this? Screw these kids' parents for abandoning their kids, screw the Glovers for treating them even worse, screw the super readers for siding with the Glovers, and screw Judge Alberto for allowing child abuse. And I hope you all get sent to jail for real this time. You all are guilty.
All right, thank you for your time, Flippy and Giggles, you may return to your seat. Now I will call the Scoutmaster of Camp Kidney, Algonquin Casper Lumpus, and his wife, the Scout Mistress of Acorn Flats, Jane Doe Lumpus, to the stand.
With pleasure, Your Honor. So, you must be the people we saw on the news about how you were abusing and neglecting these kids, right? My wife and I are very mad at you. You people are seriously insane, and you super readers are also corrupted and insane since they allow child abuse in their town and are always targeting the cat, fish, and rabbit kids. And you are also hypocrites, since you saved another kid named Champ being child abused by his parents. And yet you don't want to save Gumball, Darwin, and the guys from the Glover family. You're all crooks.
I agree with my husband. Do you all seriously think that this is the norm for raising kids these days? We don't allow child abuse at our camps. Child abuse is extremely illegal. And to you, Nicole and Richard, just because your kids cause trouble, that doesn't give you the right to abandon your kids to another family where they get abused all the time. You all are seriously sick in the head, and we hope you get what you deserve for all the crimes that you did to those poor kids.
Yeah, I agree with my wife. We declare you all guilty for all the crap that you've done. We're finished, Your Honor.
Alright, Algonquin and Doe Lumpus, thank you for your time. You may return to your seats. Alright then everyone, based on the clear evidence and information proved by the witnesses, I have no choice but to find every defendant guilty. Now we will move on to the sentencing. Mrs. Bunn, for bullying your students, being a strict teacher, putting Gumball and Ned Flemkin in super long detentions, and for supporting child abuse, you've lost your job as a teacher for Monte-Elena Bilingual School. And you are sentenced to 20 years at Mount Massive Asylum in Colorado, and this will go into your employment disciplinary transcript when you get out of jail. You will also maintain a 500 feet distance between Gumball and Ned Flemkin at all times.
¿Qué? ¿Me estás tomando el pelo? 20 años. No puedes hacerme esto. Soy docente de Montelena desde 2015. No puedes quitarme el trabajo.
Oh yes I can. Bad people can't be teachers if they abuse and bully their students. Speaking of which, Carla Maria, for allowing child abuse at your school, being a strict principal, abuse of power and for giving Gumball and his siblings warrant-style punishments, you have lost your job as the principal for Monte-Elena Bilingual School. You are sentenced to 35 years at the same asylum where Mrs. Bunn will be staying at.
No. ¿Me estás tomando el pelo? ¿35 años en un manicomio? ¿Cómo es esto posible? No puedo estar en la cárcel tanto tiempo. Moriré de viejo. He estado trabajando para la Colegio Bilingüe Monte-Elena como directora desde 2018. No puedes quitarme la vida.
Well, because you allowed child abuse at your school, and you knew about the Glover family being child abusers, I absolutely can. Maybe if you had actually helped Gumball with his problems at school in the Glover family, then you wouldn't be here. Super Y, for abuse of power, siding with child abusers, supporting criminal activity, hypocrisy, and corruption, you have lost your job permanently as a superhero and you are sentenced to 50 years at Bright Dawn Treatment Center. Also, you have lost custody of your dog Whifster. He will be taken to an animal shelter away from you.
¿Hablas en serio? 50 años de prisión. Esa es una frase muy larga. No sobreviviré tanto tiempo allí. Probablemente moriré a causa de otro prisionero antes de que termine mi sentencia. ¿Y mi perro ni siquiera estará conmigo? Mi vida va a ser un infierno por culpa de Gumball.
Well, that's too bad, Wyatt. Maybe if you had brought Gumball's parents and the Glover family to justice and never sided with them in the first place, you wouldn't be in prison. Wonder Red, Princess P, and Alpha Pig, for the same crimes as Super Y, you all lost your jobs as superheroes. You are also sentenced to 45 years where Super Y will be at.
¿Qué? ¿45 años? Pero eso no es justo. Es una frase demasiado larga para nosotros.
Sí. No puedes hacernos esto. Tenemos todo el derecho de castigar a Gumball, Darwin y Anais por sus acciones.
Creo que mi papá y mis hermanos me van a regañar mucho cuando me vean en la cárcel. Ten piedad de nosotros.
Well, that's too bad, super readers. And this is not how superheroes work. If you had saved Gumball and his siblings from the Glover family and not sided with them, then you all wouldn't be in this situation. Carlos, for driver negligence, public endangerment and suing minors, you will lose your job as a bus driver, and you are sentenced to 10 years where the super readers are at and will face a permanent restraining order of 500 feet between you and Gumball Waterson at all times.
¿Qué? ¿Me estás tomando el pelo? No puedes hacerme esto. Tengo evidencia de que estos niños secuestraron mi autobús y causaron un accidente en mi teléfono. No puedo ir a prisión.
Well, Carlos, your evidence isn't good enough. It could be because of how their parents abandoned them and how abusive the Glover family were to them. If you had done your job properly and kept your keys on you at all times, you wouldn't be facing these consequences. Judge Alberto, for supporting criminal activity, allowing child abuse, abuse of power, and for corrupting the super readers. You have lost your job as a judge for Bogota, Colombia. and you are sentenced to life in prison with no parole at Bright Dawn Treatment Center.
Prisión perpetua. Esto no es justo. Gumball, Darwinianais deberían ser los que deberían ser arrestados. Tantos crímenes terribles cometieron en Bogotá, Colombia. Y soy juez desde los años 90. No puedes quitarme mi trabajo y mi vida.
Well, that's too bad. You were the mastermind behind the Super Readers scandal and Gumball's child abuse case this entire time with Nicole and Richard Watterson and the Glover family. Maybe if you haven't been behind all of this, then you wouldn't have ended up here, Cuphead Devil, for being involved in multiple child abuse cases such as Gumball, Cuphead, Mugman, Ned Flemkin, and several others. You were sentenced to the secret room.
¿Cuál es la habitación secreta?
You will find out once our two visitors arrive. But let's get back to the court and finally, last but not least, the 5 evil masterminds behind the child abuse case. Nicole and Richard Watterson, Big Bill, Brenda, and Alice Glover, for corrupting the Super Readers, insane punishments, both physical and psychological abuse, assault and battery, child abuse, child endangerment, child abandonment, child neglect, giving Gumball, Darwin, and Anais Warren-style punishments, and for abusing Gumball on purpose. You leave me no choice. In spite of your very high criminal records, you are all sentenced to death in one of the worst ways possible, and it is far worse than the electric chair or firing squad.
¿Qué quieres decir exactamente con eso?
Oh, you're about to find out right now. And here comes the men of the hour.